Hello and Assalamu alaikum. You are listening to Planet FM 87.6, and today we are going to discuss a very important topic, a quite pertinent topic that affects our society, and but we rarely give attention to that particular issue. So basically, when we talk about you can say that third gender or transgender community, God created us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us equal human. We all are same, but the society made us, generate us, in a different, you can say that, categories, and treated the transgender community as a third person. So in Pakistan, transgender community faces many challenges regarding identity, and there is this taboo attached with them, and people tend to distance themselves from them without knowing their real issues, and they face violence, social exploitation, and they are deprived from the basic, you can say that, human facilities like education, employment, equal employment opportunities, and even health facilities. So today we are going to you can say that explore what challenges they are going to face, and how we as a society can improve the lifestyle, or we can improve the mindset, or for them. And today we have a very special guest with us. She Maya Zaman. Maya is a transgender woman in Pakistan. She is born and brought in Saudi Arabia, and she studied from Iqra University, Karachi, and Islamabad. Okay, and she remains a part of FDI. Through that platform, Maya has worked on human rights issues, and she always plays crucial part on different national and international platform. Maya has been considered one of the most educated transgender person, and she is has a degree in both fashion designing and business, and currently she is running her own brand, and Miss Maya Zaman name, and through that brand she is providing you can say that even job opportunities to transgender community, and plays her role. And currently Maya is gender and protection specialist. Welcome, Maya, in our show.
Thank you so much, Rabbiya.
I'm so honored and feel happy that you are here. And I still remember the day when we met very first time in 2016 at
2016,
Pakistan,
yes.
Pakistan Institute of Parliamentary Services.
Yes.
And since then, I and Maya are connected on different social media platforms. But we've
We never got a chance to connect otherwise. Yes.
Exactly. So I'm very glad to see you,
Yeah.
and I feel honored to have you in our show. So Maya, let's start our discussion. Please tell me about your some journey, your initial journey, and the thing is that how much societal and family pressure you have faced when you have realized that you are somehow different from other. So please share your journey.
Thank you so much, Rabia. You are honored, and I'm honored
Thank you
as
so
well.
much.
The amazing introduction you gave was definitely I've done all those things.
Yeah.
But when you hear someone telling things about you, you feel good and you feel honored. So thanks to you, and thanks to the channel as well for having me over here. So a little bit about my background. Currently, I'm FDI Forum for Dignity Initiative is my parent organization.
All right.
And my mentor as well.
Great.
So I really take pride in naming my mentor, Ma'am Uzma. So she was the reason why I got into human rights and activism and the development sector. But obviously, you have to grow. You grow in your career as well.
Exactly.
So it's because of her and because of the opportunities I had from Forum for Dignity Initiative that right now I'm working in a mainstream organization. And you mentioned that I'm a gender and protection specialist.
Exactly.
So we are currently working targeted towards communities in Sindh and Balochistan who were flood affected in 2022. So I ensure that whatever interventions we are doing, it has a gender mainstreaming element to it. And
Right.
protection is obviously everyone's right.
Exactly.
We have protection centers for women, for children, so they go, definitely we do need protection for people who are affected by floods as well. So my role over there is to ensure that the community is aware of their rights. They know that if the aid is coming to them, how to
Exactly.
get that aid, why is that important, why is protection important, why social protection, your CNIC, your identity is important. And it's a privilege for me to work for such kind of thing, because as you mentioned that we've been through, as transgender persons, been through
True.
a lot of identity crisis. The initial days
Exactly.
start with a crisis where you're not sure that who you are, where do you belong. There's this sense of insecurity, and because when you're growing up and you feel different, you're different from the peers in your school, definitely that builds up a lot of pressure within yourself. And back in the days when I was young, there was no awareness around transgender
True.
identities,
Particularly in Pakistan.
particularly in Pakistan, even Saudi Arabia when I was living over
All
there.
right.
So definitely my childhood was not an easy childhood. I had a lot of traumas, discrimination in terms of which team would I play, which activity I would be engaged in, because my friends, they were okay with me having around, they were okay around me, but when it came about participation or sharing something, there the problem started, because no one was ready to share. It was like, it's okay, like, it's okay, you don't need this, whoa, you don't need to play football, you can play with the Barbies. Those kind of things were coming in. Although I loved playing with the Barbies, I loved dressing up and all those things, but that at that time when you're a kid, and when you see other boys or other peers doing those kind of stuff, and you don't want to do that, then definitely it's another ball game. So, anyways, moving forward, when I moved to Pakistan for my education, that is the time when I was sure about my identity, that who I am, what I want to be, but I didn't know how to achieve that,
How to deal with that?
how to be there where I wanted to be.
All right.
So during all this process, the world, my family, my friends, my relatives, I won't call friends, my acquaintances at that time, they kept on telling me a different story. That, hey, if you are transgender, you will have this kind of lifestyle. You will end up these kind of professions. Some were good because they were concerned. They were really concerned about my future and everything, so they tried to stop me as well. But some were very, very ruthless because they made fun of me. And they made all kind of assumptions that, oh, you will end up doing this, oh, you will do that, you will do this. I don't blame them, but the thing is that our society is not ready to think out of the box. They are conditioned to think in a certain way, and
Exactly.
due to that conditioning, they were obviously they were looking into previous examples of transgender people, right? So they had their knowledge limited to those people as well. So they thought that me being a transgender woman would also end up doing that. In my eye, I don't see anything bad being a entertainer or whatever the professions usually people associate with transgender people, like begging, sex work. I don't think there's anything bad about it. Definitely, there are negative
Connotations
impacts.
attached with it.
There are negative impacts of such things, first to ourselves as well, and then secondly to the society as well. I mean, sex work is not an easy thing. Begging is not an easy thing. You have to kill your ego. Being an entertainer at a wedding is not an easy thing. You need to just be in the submissive position, and already the society has brought us into a submissive position. So I say that it's not easy on the soul, it's not easy on the person who's doing it, right? Definitely has a negative impact. So we can talk about that. But doing those kind of work, getting into those professions, I don't think so there's anything bad about it. If it's with choice, if it's willingness, and we, in this modern world we're living in 2024, we always talk about consent, we always talk about informed decision, right? So if a trans person or transgender woman is making an informed decision to be engaged in such professions, I would totally support that transgender person. But the thing was that, did I want that for myself? Did I envision, when I was growing up, did I envision myself being on those professions or being identified with those professions? The answer was no. But obviously I had to take a lot, it took me a lot of time to understand all these things. It was not that one night I sleep and the next morning I get up and I have answers to all of these things. So it takes a lot of courage, and you have to be a lot of patient as well.
Exactly.
Like patience is the key. Like as you asked that, how do you deal with it? So moving towards that part of the question, I would say patience is the key, and consistency as well. So definitely I didn't know that what I wanted to do. Maybe I wanted to be in a bank, maybe I wanted to be in an airline, maybe a hospital, a medical company, all those professions. Obviously, when I was growing up and I saw nurses working up in big hospitals, airline staff, all those things, definitely I was fascinated with those things. My father was working in a bank. I was, oh wow, bank life is so nice, corporate, la la la, all those things, right? But I never had anyone in my family who was working for the development sector or for these kind of things or human rights. But I ended up here. So this was destiny, I think so. I think so. I definitely believe that it was destiny.
And Maya, how much role of family is important, because not everyone gets the that acceptance from family, support from family. Not every family supports their transgender child, to send them to schools, colleges, and they hide them. Madam, how do you see that?
I feel really it's a sad fear of state, definitely,
Exactly.
that family acceptance and everything. But we live in a world which is a vicious cycle. So everything is correlated with each other. The family acceptance is not there because the society is not ready to accept.
True.
And anything different, it's not only about being transgender, it's also if you are a bit more in weight, if you're darker, tanner, and maybe if you're young, like when I was 14, 15, I was this tall, and I used to get discriminated as why you're so tall, because all my classmates were very short, and I was the tallest person in the class, so that called me out. I remember I had friends who were overweight. Everyone used to call them out. So we as a society, as I mentioned before as well, we are conditioned to think in a certain way and accept certain things. Anything out of that box, people get uncomfortable. Society get uncomfortable. They don't know how to deal with that. So I believe it's not an individual problem. It's a society problem, that how you can integrate different diversity, because beauty, everything, it comes in so many diverse things. Even if you talk about language, someone would talk like Pakistan. Pakistan is hugely diverse in terms of ethnicity, in terms of language, culture. But we as a Pakistani citizen try to contain all that and remove those differences and look for the similar parts and get connected. Why cannot we do that with individuals?
True.
Why cannot we do that with people who are different, who think differently, or who are out of the box? I believe that if the society embraces diversity, problems would be less. Yeah.
Very true, very true. So Maya, what are the main challenges transgender faced in Pakistan, or as we already discussed, the societal pressure, the societal acceptance? Um, Constitution of Pakistan, do it consider transgender people equally human?
The problem is not with the constitution.
Alright.
Pakistan is one of the few countries in the world who, and especially in the Muslim world, who are leading for transgender rights. We take pride in telling that. We, as Pakistan, had citizen rights since 2011.
Yeah.
And then in 2018, those citizen rights, obviously, they were given by the constitution to us. But when you're talking about special groups, when you're talking about dealing with special groups, with special, unique needs, not, I wouldn't say special, but unique needs, which are different from biological male or female. So there was a need of this bill. And proactively, the Pakistani government, and really thanks and hats off to them that they took this initiative, and it was a long process. All the stakeholders, relevant stakeholders, the community, the Human Rights Council, the ombudsperson, they were all involved in it. We had like lawyers coming in and drafting us policies and all those things. So if we talk about constitution, there's not an issue with the constitution. I believe yes, as you asked me, your question was that if the Constitution gives us equal rights, the Constitution does give us equal rights.
Yeah.
The Constitution gives females equal rights, but there are issues with the women empowerment. Exactly, that's what I'm coming through. Implementation, and secondly, human behavior.
Human behavior.
So how people deal with it. Do people have biases with you? Do people have because they also coming from the same culture and the same society. So other than profession and their professional obligations, they do hold a certain personal bias in themselves. So that reflects at times, like when you go for services, like maybe if I'm applying for a job and the panel is totally biased about bringing a transgender person on board, or thinking that this transgender person could be compatible and can work in a normal environment. So that bias is that there you need to work, and there people need to understand that we have to stop boxing. We have to stop putting people into boxes and accept them as they are.
Basically, I believe that these stigmas and these taboos need to be addressed. It need to be, you can say that, you can social awareness, and again the acceptance, and considering them that they are equally human, and treating them that no human is no human is less, no gender is less than any other gender. God has given us the same mind, same body almost, and same organs, everything is same, and our mind works, functions in the same way. So why not we consider, accept or remove those stigmas. It's very important that society needs to revamp its thinking. All right. When it comes to social stigma attached to transgender community and marginalization resulting in exclusion from, you can say that, employment opportunities, education, housing, and especially health facilities, how much it is difficult to face discrimination and still survive in the system. How do you see that?
So Pakistan is a developing nation, right? We do have limited resources, and we do also acknowledge the fact that when you talk about cisgender people, cisgender women like yourself, or cisgender male, even they are not getting what they're supposed to get. So obviously, a group of people who've just recently gained their identity, who've just recently got acknowledgement and recognition, it's really hard to say that everything would go 100% right. We are taking baby steps. It's not that nothing is going good ways. We are going towards progress. We are going towards a better society. But those are baby steps. And it's all about fight of resources, because the resources are so limited. They're scarce. Pakistan is moving towards economic deprivation and whatnot, right? So in this current context, it's really, really hard to navigate. That's true, but that's not only true for trans persons, but also for cisgender people like yourself and other audience as well. So definitely the stigma is doubled then, because first you're fighting for the resources, and then you're fighting as a group of from a community which is already neglected. So yes, our efforts are doubled. Maybe a male applying for a job, his efforts would not be that much, rather than a trans person. But then again, I just want to say that when you apply, just you mentioned that we have the same body, we have the same things. This is concept of equality. But now we are moving towards more of concept of equity. Because I disagree to this. There is a huge difference in between the body autonomy and how the body functions, right? Having a woman in a decision-making power or a decision-making room would really make an impact, rather than all the men sitting on the desk and making decisions. And then when you talk about inclusion into decision making or the mainstream areas or places, definitely when you include other groups, it's going to make a positive difference, because then everyone's equally represented.
Exactly.
But with the concept of equity, because everyone has different needs, everybody has a different need, so you have to see that you have this resources, if male do not need more, So why give them more?
Hmm.
If female need it more, give them more. If the trans person needs more, give them more. And all this conversation, I would like to wrap up with the concept of merit. So when you talk about merit, when I'm applying for a job, or if you are applying for a job, it's an open call, it has a merit. But if you really want to talk about inclusion, if you really want to talk about actually bringing trans persons into mainstream or decision making, you need to also see the criteria, the merit. Obviously, a male person, a privileged, who goes to the university, who has all the facilities, and then you are comparing that to a person who had to face a lot of stigmas, who took longer time to finish her degree in the university due to the discrimination and isolation she had to face, but yet she is capable enough to compete with a person who had a straight line. So people who are employers or whosoever is there, they also need to understand and realize that when we talk about merit, we need to be flexible when we are dealing with trans person, which I unfortunately am not seeing. Either it's only for trans, like there are groups of people, there are organizations who are working for trans, but then they only want to work for trans people. And but that's not how inclusion works. That's creating a separate world for them. Mazid, like more exclusion, right? If you talk about having a separate hospital, having a separate line, having a separate bank, everything would be separate, then give us a separate country as well. So this is not the solution. You have to integrate them. You have whatever is there, you have to integrate them into them, right? For integration, society need to be prepared. People need to be prepared because, as I mentioned, people are okay to see trans persons into certain professions. They're okay because that's not impacting their lives. But when they see trans persons on better positions, better education, better opportunities, they start fighting.
Exactly, and when they, trans person standing beside them, they do not, you can say that accept them. I was listening, watching, in fact, your interview in which you were mentioning that you have faced a lot discrimination in university and your degree has delayed due to that, and you took a lot time to complete it. And then, so I was thinking about it, that how much it is difficult, for you to complete that. And again, all those things came together, that this social stigma, the taboo, and the mentality of society matters a lot.
Definitely.
And people do not accept it. So as we discuss about, you can say that housing, I mean, sorry, health facilities. Currently, in my knowledge, about 70% of transgender are deprived of basic health facilities. So, when it comes to health, what are the main challenges they are facing right now?
So, as I mentioned about the Transgender Protection Act, which was passed in 2018, the Constitution does not allow any kind of discrimination to its citizens, and especially transgender citizens, right? So things are in place. You talked about implementation, and I talked about people's behavior, right? So the biggest reason why 70% of trans persons are deprived, A, poverty, because they don't have the means to go to a hospital, or if because they are the bread earner, they don't have anyone else to earn for them. So if they're taken day off and they don't go to their work, which they're usually daily wages, right? Obviously they're going to lose that wage for that day. So for them, priority is bread and butter rather than their health, which is a sad fair of state. So one reason is poverty, and secondly, people who can afford, like myself, who are privileged enough, who can go to a hospital, but still would not opt to go to a hospital just because of the behavior, just because of this behavior of the staff. It ends on the doctor, but it starts from the security guard who's standing on the gate of the hospital. Starts from there, moves on to the reception, from reception to the nurse, from the nurse to the doctor. So you see how many layers of discrimination and judgmental attitude you have to go through. So definitely, unless and until it's something very extreme, unless and until it's something really emergency and I cannot sort it out without any self-medication at home, I will not go to an hospital. I will not be comfortable. Yes, seriously. It's been 11 years. I am on self-medication. I don't want to be cautioned with the doctors. few doctors are not even equipped with the right kind of knowledge that what are transgender issues, what hormones they can take, because everything is about chemicals, right? All you see on the body is just the outer thing, but there's a system which is going inside. How your hormones are released, how your food is digested, how your sleep cycle is going on. All these happens because of what? Hormones. So we also need to see how we are equipping our new doctors, the new generation of doctors, with the knowledge that can help them to deal. I mean, sometimes I had this discussion with doctors, and I mean, I couldn't win because they were like, we can't do anything unethical because this is something which was out of our course. We never learned about these things. So giving you a recommendation or prescription would be unethical for them because they haven't studied about it, or there's no enough research or evidence around those things. So in a way, they're also right, but that doesn't mean that we can be ignored or neglected. So we have to find a middle means, and that's self-medication.
Maya, you made me thinking that, mashallah, you are a privileged person in our society.
But at the same time, I'm unprivileged as well.
Unprivileged as well. Yet I'm thinking that, those transgender person who are not much privileged, or who are, not have that, you can say that equal rights, and still facing, struggle at every end, literally. How you can tell me, in a better way, how they deal with the, when it comes to when they have to go to hospital or when they have to go to the clinic.
Yeah.
Any example or any, you can say that,
Definitely.
experience you can share?
Sure. So Rabbiya, I acknowledge my privilege, but
Yeah.
at certain times even my privilege does not work. I believe every person has a certain privilege. Either you have a name in the society, or the place where you're living, people listen to you, they respect you, that's your privilege, right? And if you're coming from a family background that's influential, that's your privilege. But having all those privilege at some point, living in Pakistan, living in a developing nation with scarce resources, I'm repeating it again and again because these things are so interlinked. So there's a lot of issues which are linked to poverty, to not having a decent income support or income line, or not having a decent profession. So things are interlinked. You can't see an issue in isolation. As you mentioned, someone who comes from a low-income group, someone who does not have the means of resources to afford themselves, or are struggling on the way of things they would earn. As I mentioned, most of the trans persons living in Pakistan are they are on daily wages. They don't have any decent jobs that secure their health, that provides them health insurance or give them any kind of facilities. So they're daily wages, right? And they most of the time, which this is like untold stories about transgender people, they're supporting their families. They're supporting their young siblings to get good degrees, get into good schools. They're helping their sisters getting married. They're helping their family. Huge responsibility, financial responsibility on them.
That's something very new for me. But
see, a lot of people doesn't talk about. They only think that it's that only male are providers. But I know so many cases where transgender people are also providers for their families. So the kind of discrimination, if I can recall, back in 2016, and this all resulted into having a Protection Act. So there were a few cases. There was this transgender person, Divani, who had HIV/AIDS, and she needed medical attention. Although we have an national AIDS program going in Pakistan, there are a lot of NGOs working for HIV/AIDS. They provide health care, they provide food and shelter and everything, because usually the HIV/AIDS patient also faces discrimination, regardless gender. So, HIV/AIDS, secondly, transgender person, double discrimination. So she was so neglected that she ended up in a garbage can because she was so sick, and her friends, peers did not know what to do with her, so they just let her out, and she didn't know where to go, and because she was out of her senses, that she ended up in a pile of garbage, which was really sad to see. So this happened, right? Secondly, what happened? There was this transgender. I mean, it's really sad to say that when she was alive, she didn't get that popularity, but she got popular after she passed away. And the reason why she passed away was the medical system, was the people present in the hospital. They were fighting. She got shot when she was dancing in a function. Some people, they were not okay with her dancing, or there was something, and they shot her. Yeah, and she was like 4 or 5 gunshots. She was rushed to the hospital. There was a lot of bleeding going on, and they couldn't decide that she should go in the
should
female.
be treated or not, or
no, should we go in the female section, or should she go in the male section? Will the police come and put the FIR because the person who has shot her is an influential person, and because obviously it's a FIR case, it's a legal case. And the doctors are like, oh, we can't treat her unless the police comes and there's an FIR. And then they had to decide that, oh, should we take her to this ward or that ward? And during all this, she was alive. But because the medical attention she needed was prolonged, was delayed, she lost her life because of excessive bleeding. So these are few cases which really ignited, really sparked the debate, and thanks to our lawmakers, our parliamentarians, policymakers, that they took notice of such kind of issues, and these were happening in front of their eyes. So they took the initiative that, hey, let's come. They asked the community to get engaged, to come to their offices and draft a bill. So now the bill is done. But then again, did they work on people's behavior? Did they work on these kind of things? The question is no. I mean, there's hardly one transgender ward specific for transgender persons in PIMS hospital. And like the whole Pakistan cannot visit PIMS, definitely. So we need more examples of PIMS. As I said, we take baby steps, but these baby steps kind of take people's life, and then you realize that no, we need a rigorous step, not a baby step over here.
And I would really like to appreciate Maya here, that I've always seen you working in the policy sector, in advocacy, and creating opportunities for trans community. And not only that, I've always seen you, create opportunities for other people as well. And as I mentioned in the program, at the start of the program, that I've met you in Pakistan Institute of Parliamentary Services. So from that, I know that Maya is working very hard for policy, advocation, and these you can say that lawmaking for trans community, which is very, you can say that, not only appreciative, but I'm very proud of you for that. I'm actually very proud. And I believe that it's not only your responsibility, it's my responsibility as well. It's a responsibility of every person in the society, that now even the NGOs, they should, I believe that they should start some seminars in educational institutions. Even our educational institutions, educated lot is not much aware, and do not, that particularly stigma in their mind. They still think, oh, the particular words they use. So it's very important to educate people via seminars, via webinars, via some, you can say that, as you mentioned, little baby steps. So it's very important that we should go for the, step-by-step awareness of people, and educate them regarding that. So when we talk about advocacy, that what role do advocacy groups and NGO can play in promoting or creating opportunities for education of transgender community?
Thank you, Rabbiya, for bringing this up. So thank you for being proud of me, but I'm actually proud of my all community as well, because obviously it was a collaborative effort. It was not only me going to these offices and telling that, oh, we want this. So obviously it was a lot of other groups of transgender people. My community was involved on each step, right? So I believe that the struggle to have the policy in place, that ended in 2018, and then the new struggle started to implement that policy, right? So currently, if you talk about what initiatives NGOs or other advocacy groups are doing for transgender people, they are doing a lot of noise. They are creating a lot of noise, and in a good way, not in a bad way. And things are happening, things are progressing. If you just look back in 2021 and 2022, a good friend of mine had to face a lot of discrimination from an educated institute, and she was just going there for a tech talk, and she wanted to motivate the the children, and just tell them that it's okay to be trans, and if you come across a trans person, what can you do to support them? And I mean, the conversation had to be in this line, but the fear of society, the fear of people, the fear of parents. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is a Western agenda. Oh, this is not going to happen. This is un-Islamic, and all those allegations came in, and we were standing on zero again. And the entire bill was challenged. There was entire hate campaign for the whole community. Everyone remembers that, I'm sure. But thanks to that hate campaign as well. Because we got popularity. People started talking about us. Because before that, we were just doing positive publicity, right? So sometimes negative publicity also works for us.
Exactly.
So any publicity is a good publicity, right? So, but during that time, individuals like myself had to face a lot of issues as well. I was 6 months jobless during that tenure of the hate campaign going on, because anywhere I was applying or I was suitable candidate, the response I was getting was that the entire movement is hijacked right now by certain people, and we're just waiting to see how this movement and how this hate campaign unfolds. Then only we can take a decision and bring you on board. Because because the organizations didn't want to land into hot waters or anything. They didn't want to be part of the criticism, and they were not comfortable. So 6 months for a person like me who's depending on a salary, and the business, obviously, that as you mentioned, my fashion brand, obviously people were not comfortable sending their daughters, because I work in the female section of the fashion, right? They were not comfortable. So I had to lose job opportunities as well, and then I had to lose clients as well. And that period was really hard on me financially. I mean, I'm still having those waves of, you see the inflation is going on, and then you have loans to pay off, and then you are dependent on a certain salary.
Yeah.
Things are really bad. So just imagine, for a person like me, who you consider, who and myself also consider, comes from a privileged background or privileged family, yet have to face all these things. So just imagine on how much troll on mental health, physical health, the trans person who are on daily wages. And for me, those 6 months are just 6 months, but for a daily wager, those are days. And if you multiply 30 by 6, it's like 180 days. So 180 days, in my case, it was 6 months. For some people, it was more than 6 months. Maybe it was 360 days. And they didn't know what to do. They were lost. Initially they were happy. Okay, something's happening. The government's taking good initiatives. But then all of a sudden, this biased group comes in and they just shake everything. So just imagine, like, how much this damages an entire movement, and then on individual basis, what impact it would create, which was really bad, really sad. So again, now things are getting better. People are getting more good, and the hate campaign is still there, but there's an alternate group as well who talks good, the positive things. So now things are quite moving towards the good thing. The bill was challenged in Sharia court. The Sharia court also gave the verdict that there's nothing un-Islamic in this bill. It's just a basic citizen rights bill, and there's nothing wrong about it. It's just human rights, and the bill was cleared. So obviously, when you see governments and institutions in your support, you feel happy, you feel relieved. So right now, if you talk about currently, we definitely, as a society, as a community, and me as an individual, feel relieved that at least we have something in our hand. At least there's something to protect our rights.
That's great. That's great. And Maya, you have talked about those particular 6 months of campaign in which you have lost your job, or you have to, think about every day that how you will earn, and you know, please tell me that you have also mentioned that that mental stress, how you and the people from your community deal with that mental stress. Not only, I think, not only those 6 months or 360 days, but I believe that they have to deal with that mental stress every day. Every day.
Yes.
The humiliation,
Yes.
the discrimination. um, uh, I've seen from people. I never discriminated them, by the way. I always deal with them respectfully, and मेरी तो अक्सर दोस्तियाँ भी हो जाती हैं.
That's really
ठीक है.
sweet.
So the thing is that how much it is difficult to deal with that mental trauma or stress, and you know maybe many went into depression. How much it is difficult.
So, Rabbiya, really sad that first of all you go into your own community. At least they're a big support system, and I really acknowledge the role of community and peers. Without them, I think so, because they're going through the same thing which you are going through, so they understand you better. They understand your issues much better, rather than other people. So definitely community support and peer support, that counts in. But unfortunately, we live in a hyperactive society. So if you don't get what you want, you've seen a lot of cases of people ending up into drugs, into all kind of wrong medications, maybe sleeping pills. There was a time when I used to take a lot of sleeping pills as well, because I was not ready to deal with all what world had was giving me, and I didn't want to deal with that. So I clearly remember I had this phase in my life where I was sleeping for straight 3-4 days on pills, just to avoid what was going on, just to avoid the trauma of the world.
Escape from reality.
Escape from reality. But I mean, I was in the worst state. I mean, for that time I was, but luckily I came out of it. But you hardly see anyone, if they get on it, they hardly come out of it. And recently I saw this campaign going on by the Islamabad police, that no drugs and all those things. But which is a very good initiative. I also believe in a drug-free society. Definitely, we should not engage into intoxications which are chemically built in labs. So, but then you also have to provide an alternate as well. If you're taking away certain things, again, an escape from reality, then you have to create a reality as well. So just a small suggestion to the Islamabad police who are doing this campaign amazingly, do it, but then also think about creating a alternate reality for people who are dependent on those drugs, who are living, who are alive because of those drugs. Because we do see, like, we never talk about that, but there's a suicide rate going on. People do suicides because we live in a Islamic world. We don't usually talk about that. Even the families hide. If someone's trans child goes for suicide, they would just hide it, right? So, and it's not only limited to trans people. These days, you every day listen to stories like the father could not afford to bring bread. He killed the wife, the kids, and then himself. This is also suicide, right?
Exactly.
So all these pressures building up, like it's a pressure cooker. You need to have a valve to release the pressure.
And people do not deal with them, no?
People are just brushing it off, let it go,
one
let
person
it
is
go.
continuously going through that pressure, and they just
Yes.
deprive them further, and they discriminate them further. So
So yeah. So if you talk about mental health, I am glad that I've done a few courses around mental health, around para counseling. I think so this should be the norm. I think so this should be part of the academics as well. Counseling, mental health, these things are only like either they're specialized for psychologists or psychiatrists. Obviously they're specialized in their field, they're needed there, but then this should be a norm as well. Like you talk, I'm really glad that you brought this up about mental health. And definitely mental health is, if your mental health is stable, then only you will end up into a stable job. Then only you can have a stable relationship with your family, your spouse, whatever, right? And human are built in a way that they need connection. They can't live in isolation. If isolation was a solution to all these things, I think you wouldn't see a lot of cases of suicides, drugs, all those things, sleeping pills,
Exactly.
medications. So human is designed in a way where they need connection, they need to collaborate with other people, they need to have a touch, they need to be physical. So mental health is, it's not a small thing, so we need to take it serious, and we need to mainstream mental health, which I believe maybe with course of years you start seeing a lot of people talking about it, a lot of people going into therapy. Your relatives could be your therapist as well, your father, your parents could be your therapist as well. Usually they do act as your unpaid therapist as well, your friends usually, but then in certain cases you do need specialized healthcare. So we need to normalize that if someone is dealing through a mental health does not mean that he's crazy or he's pagal or he's something like that. It's just an issue, it's just a phase on them, which can be treated by either therapy or medication. So please make mental health normal.
And again, do not isolate the person.
Do not isolate the
Do
person.
not isolate the person
Very
who is
well
going
said.
through, some kind of stress or any kind of depression. It's very important. You talk about human connection. I once said to a person who was saying to me that connect with the God. I'm not denying that connecting with the God is
Not important.
not important. It is important.
It is primary.
It is primary.
But then
Yet,
at the same time,
yet
yeah.
God has made humans for humans.
Definitely, yeah.
God has made humans for humans. So when human talk to you, and even someone listens you, and someone listens any problem, half of your, you can say that stress, half of your mental pressure releases while listening or talking. So Maya, let's go to the next question. That is, are there any legal protection, as you mentioned that lawmakers play important role, or policies in place to support transgender students in Pakistan?
Mhm. Yes, as I said, that the Constitution allows and gives us equal right as a citizen. So, when if I have the CNIC of Pakistan and I'm a Pakistani national, I'm entitled to any right which any other citizen is there, right? But then we talked about the human bias, the individual bias which people carry. So that needs to be worked out, definitely. And what else? Can you repeat your question? Sorry.
All right. Legal protection and
Legal
policies for
protection.
students,
Students.
transgender students.
Yes, the Protection Act does cover up the legal aspect of education, that no education institute can deny admission to trans person, be it a university, be it a school. But again, acceptance, how much people are accepting to the fact of being different, of being a trans person, right? And then the Protection Act itself is there, and then we do have protection centers as well in different parts of the country. And Pakistan, Islamabad, sorry, has a protection center specific to transgender people, and we have an amazing fellow, Reem Sharif, who is the director over there. She has amazing initiatives. She's looking after this education, health, and all those things. So definitely, there is progress, and as I always say, there is progress, but baby steps.
Baby steps, yeah. Thank you so much, Maya. Thank you for joining us, and it was very comprehensive and very, you can say that, productive discussion we had on transgender issues and the challenges the transgender community has facing in Pakistan, and how we can cope up with the challenges, and we being a society can create a better environment for them, can create a environment for them where they have equal job and particularly education opportunities. Once again, thank you so much, Maya.
Thank you so
And
much.
you were listening to Planet FM 87.6, and I'm your host, Rabbiya. We'll meet you inshallah in some other day, some other show, and with another important guest.